Hello, and welcome to another episode of A Fresh Perspective with Jeff Charles, where we prefer truth over narrative and principles over politics. And I'm going to be talking about another area of healthcare today. But before we get into that, we're going to be talking about some legislation that's being proposed, the Access Act, otherwise known as HR 5608. But before we get into all that, gotta have you like this, gotta have you share this, and I gotta have you subscribe if you haven't already. So that way you'll be updated whenever I upload a new episode. Also, check out my Substack, Chasing Liberty. You can get that at libertychasers.com, and you can see all of my work discussing liberty, government overreach, all of that good stuff. So I really appreciate your support. Become a subscriber to my Substack. That helps me do my work. So without further ado, let's get into this. So I have talked about in other episodes how America got to where it is as far as relying on employer-based health insurance, relying on government insurance such as Medicare, Medicaid, and others. And basically, we have gotten to a place to where the vast majority of Americans are reliant on another entity for their health insurance, not their health care necessarily, because, like I keep saying, health insurance is not necessarily health care. And in the last video, I actually talked about a lot of the problems that arise when you are basically subject to a health insurance company that gets to basically determine the kind of hair that you get, that determines the kind of care that you get. So I want to talk about one of probably several solutions to this problem. Right now, corporations control what kind of health insurance you get, and so does the government. Who doesn't have much control over it? You don't. I don't. Most of us don't. So this is where the Access Act comes in. Now, there's another act called the Access Act. Don't get it mixed up with that. If you want to look it up, it's HR 5608. And this is intended to provide a significant change in the way health insurance is managed, especially through the Affordable Care Act, which was passed in 2010 that did a lot of horrible things. um, this bill would allow individuals who are enrolled in high deductible health plans through the exchange, the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, to opt instead for contributions to a health savings account instead of receiving reduced cost sharing benefits. So basically, this bill would basically amend section 223 of that legislation. I'm not going to get into the weeds on all that. If you want to, you can go look it up. But basically, insurers would contribute an amount equivalent to the reduced cost sharing directly into your health savings account on a monthly basis. And the contributions are calculated to match the value of the reduced cost sharing benefits that the individual would have received through Obamacare. Now, the funds in these health savings accounts can only be used for medical expenses. So basically, you'd have a kind of like a medical debit card, but you can't use it to go buy video games. You can't use it to go get some stuff at Walmart. It's only used for medical issues, right? Um, excuse me. And the bill also includes provisions for public education on these changes. So why is it necessary? Well, so the Access Act is proposed to enhance individual autonomy, giving you more control over your healthcare spending and your healthcare decisions. And it also is designed to promote savings for medical expenses. So it'll provide more flexibility and choice for consumers by allowing them to accumulate savings through the account that can be used for a much wider range of healthcare expenses, including those that are not covered by insurance. So in this way, your insurance company isn't dictating the type of care you can receive or what treatments you can get or the medication that you need to have. It'll empower people to make better healthcare decisions by giving them more control over where that healthcare money goes. It also could potentially, hopefully, reduce the overall cost of healthcare by encouraging consumers to be more conscious of how they were spending on healthcare, helping them be more educated about the options that are out there rather than having just like a narrow field of what you can possibly do. What I like about the bill is that, because I know, because, I already know what you're thinking, but Jeff, you're a libertarian. You don't want the government involved in healthcare. Hell yeah, I don't want it involved in healthcare. But you know what? It already is, right? I mean, we're not going to see Obamacare go away anytime soon. I remember when Trump had the White House and Republicans had both chambers of Congress, and they didn't do anything about Obamacare. This would at least leverage that horrible legislation in a way that gives people more control. So it's a step in the right direction. I still don't like the government being involved, but the idea of them actually giving us back some of the money that they steal from us, I mean, I can at least stomach that, especially if it kind of leads in the right direction, giving you more control, kind of like school choice. The more control parents have over where and how their kids are educated, the better the outcome, because I trust people to make these decisions more than the government or more than an insurance company. So there's my spiel on that for those who are wondering. So the thing is, when you have health savings accounts, which I know there is no perfect solution because it involves the government, but this is much better. You can manage your funds as you see fit. Your insurance company doesn't get to tell you, oh, you have to use this doctor or you have to get this type of treatment. There was a story that somebody told. There was a House Budget Committee hearing a couple of weeks ago, and the story was told of an individual who had to go through 5 different types of treatments or examinations before they can actually get the medication that their doctor actually prescribed for them, because that's what their insurance company dictated. This would help to reduce a lot of that. um, it would allow people to accumulate the funds. So if you have a year where you don't really need it, then you still have that money that you save going forward. If you're taking care of yourself, then you save that money for when you actually need it or a member of your family. Again, it gives you more control over what you're doing with that money. It also reduces the need for direct government interference when it comes to healthcare cost sharing. By shifting the responsibility to us, the individuals, through health savings accounts, this could actually diminish the scope of government involvement through interventions and regulations. Now, it wouldn't get it reduced to where I'd want it, but I mean, you guys know where I'm coming from. If anything that makes it less is going to be a step in the right direction. I love it. Now, as far as arguments against it, people might argue that it might result in people facing higher out of pocket costs if they choose to have health savings accounts over reduced cost sharing. Because the HSL, the amount that you might have in the health savings account may not cover all of the expenses up front. But the thing about health savings account is that they offer long-term benefits and greater flexibility in managing your healthcare expenses. You are the one in control. So you can save and you can use these funds for a wide range of medical expenses, which could offset the immediate out-of-pocket costs in the future. So we're talking about a longer term proposition rather than something overnight, where you actually have greater control and you get better health care. Because again, the health insurance doesn't actually get you your health care, but an HSA, if you already have the funds, you can choose what you want. Some might argue that it might make it more complicated, which makes sense, right? Because we're not all educated on how this healthcare stuff works, and the healthcare industry largely tries to keep that more hidden, right? They keep that under wraps so that you don't really understand where your money is going. I mean, if you get an operation, chances are you don't know how much that actually costs, right? Because it's your insurance negotiating that with your provider, with the pharmaceutical industry. It's very convoluted, and it's like that on purpose. But if you're actually taking more control, then you can actually understand better where that money is going. And imagine if most people had something like this, it would prompt a lot of these providers and companies to compete more, which may promote more transparency and lower costs, kind of like it was before in 1920. Like I've said in other videos and in other podcast episodes, before 1912, there wasn't this employer-based healthcare model. Healthcare was actually affordable and people paid for it out of pocket. Perhaps something like this could move us in that direction. It wouldn't happen overnight, but it would be much closer to that scenario than we are right now. Also, the bill does include provisions for education on how to use your health savings accounts. So that would make it easier for you to figure out how to leverage this. Um, and there might be a concern that I saw that these savings accounts might favor higher income individuals who can afford to contribute more to their accounts. Because remember, the money wouldn't just be coming from the state. You can also deposit your own funds into your health savings accounts too. I mean, if you already have this through your work, you already are kind of familiar with this. You can put however much you want, and that can just be stashed away as a nest egg for your health care. However, the contributions under this bill are equivalent to what the reduced cost sharing benefits that you would have received if you decided to just go through the regular insurance. But in this way, it can empower lower income individuals by getting them the funds to cover a wider variety of medical expenses that insurance might not address. So the Access Act, and I'll be talking more about this. There's more to it. At some point, I'm going to be having some guests on my show to give more detail on this. People who know way more about it than I do. But I think that this could represent a significant shift in healthcare policy by giving us more control over these decisions rather than having them be outsourced to the government and to health insurance corporations. So let me know what you guys think. I mean, this is kind of a newer idea, and it's starting to get out there a little bit more. You'll probably see a lot more people talking about it, members of Congress, things like that. I don't know exactly when it's on the docket for them to actually take it up, but it is something that has been circulating for a while. So let me know what you think. Is this a good idea? Should they go back to the drawing board? Should they just stay with Obamacare, or what have you? Let me know what you think. But until next time, I will catch you on that flip side.